Imagine living through one of history's deadliest and arguably the most painful pandemic, the Black Death. A catastrophic event that swept across Europe in the 14th century, wiping out nearly half of the total population and surprisingly a lot of sheep, causing a shortage of wool throughout the continent. This ruthless disease had already claimed millions of lives in India, Persia, China, Syria, and Egypt, but the story in Europe was a little different. Due to the lack of proper sanitation and outdated medical practices still being performed by the infamous plague doctors, like bloodletting or fully submerging the infected in vinegar, which were practically useless, caused even more widespread panic, and in turn made it more difficult to contain the plague. But just how painful was the Black Death? The crew members on the 12 ships that brought the disease back to Europe were almost all either dead or barely alive. Their bodies bore hideous black boils, oozing blood and pus, and the people who went to check on them out of empathy had already condemned themselves and the whole of Europe to a world of pain without them ever knowing so. During the initial stages, the plague disguises itself as a common flu, with similar flu-like symptoms like fever, chills, and weakness of the body, giving the infected a false sense of hope that they could recover, but it would only be the beginning of a nightmare. From a single bite of a flea or a rat, or even touching the clothes of the infected, caused the plague to spread. Huge black boils, the size of apples and eggs, would start appearing on the armpits, neck, or in the groin region, each just as painful as the other. Shortly after, vomiting and diarrhea would start, followed by waves of pain surging throughout the body. The very life force within them faded as blood pressure dropped significantly and the body's organs stopped functioning one by one. Hemorrhage in the vascular system was the last bit of pain the body could endure before shutting down completely. It was a very painful way to die. The culprit behind this horror was a tiny bacterium called Yersinia pestis. This ruthless bacterium attacked the lymphatic system, which is the body's natural immune system, causing swellings in the lymph nodes. From there, the infection spreads to the blood and lungs, where it multiplies and causes sepsis, eating away the defensive immune system of the body, literally decomposing the body from within. And for those who don't know how painful sepsis is, it's extremely painful. On a pain scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the bite of an ant or 10 being death by radiation, which happened to Hisashi Auchi, which is a different topic for another video, the Black Death plague was on a scale of 8. But it wasn't just the physical torment the people infected had to go through. The psychological trauma made it 10 times worse. On their deathbeds, people had to confront the reality of them dying and their families suffering the same fate. The rapidly spreading disease almost always led to death within a matter of days. People who were perfectly healthy when they went to bed at night could be dead by morning. Entire communities were decimated and there was a general sense of helplessness. Many may believe that the dangers of the Black Death have been fully eradicated and that we are truly safe, but the truth is that every year thousands of cases of the plague still surface all around the world, proving that our battle against the disease is ongoing and that we should always be prepared if the worst comes to pass.